That was not a coincidence. What the hell did you think would happen? Dick Cheney gets in there and he calls the CEOs of the biggest oil companies in America in to set energy policy and environmental policy. What the hell did you think would happen? And then last Monday, in the midst of the meltdown of Wall Street, in the midst of the greatest loss of wealth in the world in 75 years, the greatest loss of wealth in the world in 75 years, John McCain stands up and says, the fundamentals of the economy are strong. Our economy is sound. As we speak today, right now, Dave Johnson, as we speak, the Congress and the administration are negotiating a $700 billion. Yes, that's billion with a B. That's not million. $700 billion bailout of the most greedy, immoral, rapacious CEOs, executives, and financiers in the history of the world. $700 billion bailout for CEOs making $200 million a year. What about health care for sick kids? $700 billion bailout. What about a Medicare prescription drug program that helps seniors instead of just drug companies? $700 billion bailout. What about a health care system that works for every American? $700 billion bailout. What about jobs that pay living wages? $700 billion bailout. What about safe staffing levels and nurse-patient ratios that make sense and help people get well and help people get better and help you do the job you were born to do? $700 billion bailout. What about the rest of us? What about the other 300 million of us? And I saw on TV this morning the new, don't worry about me, y'all. I took my blood pressure. I know y'all are nurses and you see, oh no, his head's getting red. Don't worry about me, y'all. I'm mad. Oh, damn right I'm mad. Damn right I'm mad, but we're going to fix it on November 4th, y'all. We're going to fix this thing on November 4th. Don't worry about me. I took my amlodipine this morning and went for a nice run and a nice walk. I'm fine. But I am pissed off. $700 billion bailout. You want to get really mad? I saw on TV this morning the CEO of Washington Mutual. He was hired 18 days ago. He sold the company. Hired 18 days ago, Mike. He sold the company, and his severance package is $13 million. $1 million a day. $700 billion bailout. What about national universal health care as a right and not as a privilege in America? $700 billion bailout. Our Congress and administration are negotiating this bailout. What about allowing workers to negotiate for a fair wage, a fair percentage of the wealth we create, to negotiate an exit ramp from poverty, to negotiate our way into the middle class? $700 billion bailout. What about the Employee Free Choice Act for the rest of us, brothers and sisters? But it doesn't have to be this way. One of the most important causes of our crisis is a 30-year sustained, intentional, strategic assault on the part of corrupt, corporate-led government on our quality of life, our standard of living, and our unions. At the core of that assault is the gradual, now complete destruction of any effective freedom to form unions and bargain collectively. Because of that assault and because of the destruction of our freedom to form unions and bargain collectively, we now all feel the squeeze on the middle class. Our debt has grown, and most importantly, our wages have stagnated, flatlined, even declined for 30 years. 30 years of workers unable to organize. 30 years of workers unable to bargain. 30 years of the kind of assault that we heard about in Fresno today. 30 years of flat wages and growing debt, and now there just is not enough buying power, consumption power amongst the workers of America to power that economic engine. And they are destroying the heart of the American economy. They're destroying the engine of the American economy, which is working families and the middle class, and they have to be stopped this year. Don't believe me. Don't believe me. Look at the research. The National Labor Relations Board will tell you that every year for the last 20 years, more than 20,000 workers have been fired or otherwise discriminated against for legally protected union activity. 90% of bosses, when faced with an organizing campaign, hire anti-union consultants and attorneys to frustrate the will of the workers. That's now a $4 billion industry. The Center for Economic Policy and Research says that in an organizing campaign, 20% of the union activists can expect to be fired. But we've had this mess before, brothers and sisters. We fought back and we won. You see, in 1935, there were only 1 million workers in the American labor movement. That's the year a Democratic president, a Democratic Congress gave us the right to form unions and bargain collectively for the first time. And in the next 20 years, 12 million more workers went out and organized unions. And we built the modern American labor movement, but we also built the modern American middle class. And we became the first country in the history of the world where if you worked for a living, you didn't own a business, but you worked for a living, you could aspire to raise your kids in the dignity of the middle class. How do we win today? Very simple, common sense public policy. The Employee Free Choice Act is the most important workers' right legislation in 72 years. It will do 3 simple things. Real penalties on employers who violate the law. $20,000 civil fines when you harass and intimidate workers. Triple damage back pay when you fire somebody for union activity. No more running from the union. When the workers organize, boss man, you got 120 days to negotiate a first contract. That's plenty of time. And if you can't do it in 120 days, then we'll go get arbitration and we will force a contract on you. And finally, you can join the union just like the boss can join the Chamber of Commerce, simply by signing up. And when 50% plus one sign up, the union will be established. But to have this critically important change in public policy, we have to change our politics. We have to increase pro-worker Democrats in Congress, and we have to elect Barack Obama president. In order to win, we have to use all the power we can muster. CNA, NNOC knows this and knows it well, and you've got a lot you can teach the rest of us about building and wielding power. This is the history of your success. There is but one way to get what you need and want in America, and that is by power. And there are 2 ways to get power. One is lots of money, the power of the wealthy, and then there's our kind of power, and that's workers united and in motion, mobilizing to win. That's how you have won everything that you've ever gotten. That willingness to move, to act in concert, to act collectively is the only way working folks have ever won anything in this country or any other country. That's how you beat Arnold. That's how you've won the best contracts in your profession and in your industry. And that is how together we will turn around America.